If we move on to the next sort of portion, if you like, of the conversation, a sort of a deep dive into things, I wanted to ask you about you and how you came to this, this not necessarily a realization, but decided to really focus in on the gut health story and the gut health piece. Was it a result of something that happened in your world and looking after yourself, or is it more that you're looking at a big picture of health because that's your background?
It's a little bit of both. I was studying twins for 20 years, and I was looking at why identical twins who are clones of each other often get different diseases. And I'd just done a study showing that the microbes of twins, identical twins, were really very different. It was the first thing I found in 20 years that was different about identical twins. So that got me thinking, maybe the microbes are the key to why we all get different diseases, and unlike genes, that you can change them. This is cool. And pretty much the same time, I was on a ski touring holiday where you do cross-country skiing and you walk up a mountain for several hours, and we were at 3,000 meters on the Austrian-Italian border, and I suddenly, last day, felt very unwell, everything got a bit blurry. I started to fall over, and at the bottom I realized I had double vision, and it turned out I had a mini stroke in the back of my eye, which left me with high blood pressure and 3 months of really headaches and double vision. And that's when I switched from being an epidemiologist studying populations to being very selfish and saying, well, what about me? What advice do I give myself? I'm supposed to be a doctor who knows everything, because we're trained to know everything, doctors, or say we do. And what nutrition, lifestyle advice would I give myself? And that's when I realized the advice out there was so absolutely dire that I decided to write a book and focus the rest of my career on this, because I knew there had to be something between this link between the microbiome discovery and why we've got all our food advice so wrong. And that was really the trigger for me. Those 2 points, identical twins having very different microbes, and therefore explaining why they die of different diseases and at different times. And then my personal story about how I changed from studying populations to really being trying to drill down into personalized advice.
And what answers are you still looking for to stuff? Because I imagine the mind never stops worrying in terms of being a doctor and having a medical mind. So what are you still searching for and still looking at? Because obviously you've pivoted quite a bit, and will you continue to do that, or are you now focused on the work you're doing mostly with Zoe? What's next for you?
Well, obviously twins were my baby for 30 years, and they were a fantastic treasure trove. But now I've got a new playpen, which is Zoe, which is over 100,000 people have given me their data, the biggest microbiome data set in the world, plus all this health data, this exercise data, sleep data, and food data. So I feel like I make unlimited sort of discoveries in that going forward, and we've only scraped the surface really of what we can do. I'd love to be able to personalize, tell people when they should be going for their run in the morning, when they should be eating. Are they likely to be a sugar dipper? So what 3 hours after eating the wrong breakfast, what should you do? I want to tell people, should they fast early or late in the day? Are they early morning people or late morning people? I want to start tailoring advice for people like me who have high blood pressure. Which foods, how can I tell which are the high potassium foods to eat, which are the low ones? Cut the bullshit about all this stuff we've been told, and start to really drill down at the personal level to provide really good evidence. And then with all this microbiome data, make new discoveries, personalized, who knows, probiotics in the future, discovering new microbes that might help treatments for cancer. there's really no limit to what we can find here. It's super exciting.
And so far, just finally, what is the most surprising discovery that you've had? What has been the thing that, in sport, we always talk a lot about, that's mine and my husband's world. And we always talk about this element of surprise and the unpredictability of sport. And that's why we love it so much, because we never know quite what's going to happen next and we can't write the script for it. What has been the thing that you would sort of pinpoint at this moment in time as the most revelatory discovery, the thing that's fascinated you most?
Well, there have been a lot, but I guess the thing that started it all off, apart from seeing identical twins being different for microbes, was probably the fact when we gave 1,000 people identical meals at the identical time of day, who were free of disease, aged between 30 and 70, and we saw a 10 to 20-fold difference in their blood response. And no one expected it to be anything like that big. So some people's blood sugar went up and stayed up. Other people's blood fat levels stayed around for 6, 8, 10 hours, and others quickly disappeared. And to my mind, that was the really big aha starting moment to say, well, clearly we should be personalizing everything. We all respond to food very differently. We can't just have these set menus for everybody. And to my mind, that's still been the number one thing. But there's every week we find something else super cool. Just found a bug that only likes to eat coffee. Isn't that cool? Lawsonobacter. So I can tell if you gave me a poo sample, I'd be able to tell instantly how much coffee you drink, and whether it's decaf or not.
I don't want you knowing. I don't want you knowing how much coffee I'm drinking. Thank you very much.
Right. Just for full disclosure, we haven't swapped any bodily parts yet.
Oh, that's fascinating, but Tim. That's great to hear.
There's so much we can discover, and I think what's really lovely about Zoe is the fact that when people sign up and they become a member, 98% of people are signing up for consenting for their data to be shared.
Yeah.
And so we can use it for research, and we grow this massive database that it should soon be 1 million people, and we'll be informing everybody whether outside those who can afford the test or not, everyone will benefit. So it's fantastic community science, and that's also super exciting.
Well, I'm one of those 1 million. You'll be pleased to hear. I literally just signed up this week. So consider me and my data all yours.
I'm looking forward to seeing your results.
Me too. Tim, thanks so much. It's been brilliant. Really, really interesting. Thank you. Thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.